Greetings and salutations, friends. Character NPC back at the gaming table, hoping that this isn't too shaky a video, because here, Battle 6, the German invasion of Norway in 1940, it is a lot to cover on the map. This table I'm using is 52-inch circle, 52 inches in diameter, and it fits with a couple of corners hanging off. Now this section over here on the edge with Scotland and England is only there for us to use to hold forces, allied forces, such that we don't have to use the holding boxes, which would be, cardboard sheets on the table with these, off map locations, and then you count from the number of hexes forward across the rest of the map. This is added so we don't have to use those. But anyway, if you haven't seen any of my past videos, I am playing through the battles in Europe of World War II at the table with my friend, using the Europa series of games, playing them in historical order. And this is Battle 6. So this will be the first half of the April 1 turn, and I'm doing this video. It's really important, I think, to call out what happened in the German naval transport phase, because that defines what units actually arrive at which ports and things, and then going from that point on, after the Allied forces land, at that point it'll be much more about focusing on Norway itself. So I'm giving you this detail so that you understand the true scope and size of the battle. I started out the last video talking about Narvik, because that's really where the mine is, the iron mines and things that the Germans were actually there for, and the rest of it is somewhat a need to conquer and make sure that their acquisition of that iron is safe, and they can continue on making equipment through the war, making steel. And down here, of course, Denmark and the border with Germany right here. So I include this quickly to kind of show where some of the naval ports are. Early on, when I had ships sent back because of mechanical failures, something was returned, they had to come back into this area. So that's about it that I'm going to show here. I'm going to zoom in now and talk about things in detail. Since we were using Daniel T. Shaw's naval rules, and you can find them linked on the Europa series war games, the newest site, under the links section. I think it's the only one, it's like fourth link down, it's the only one that covers any kind of naval rules. And he has his own website as well, which I'll link in the description of this video. Go check it out. He's got some rules for miniature games and miniature warfare games and things that I don't have any experience with that, but you should check it out, since I'm mentioning his name so much. Part of the rules for naval transport is to roll for mechanical failures, and you're rolling 2 dice. If you get snake eyes, if you get 2 ones, there's a mechanical failure for that particular counter. So again, if you remember from my last video, this particular counter has a stripe in it, and so what that means, this line here, means that there are actually 2. So it can flip, kind of like you think of with a division and cadres. This is actually representing 2 ships. So a mechanical failure in this case would be both, but otherwise this particular oiler here would have to go back to friendly port. So I lost, as I go through this, I lost, I think it was 4 units to mechanical failures. If they held troops, well, they go back as well, and that happened under one circumstance. From here, no, it was not here. Here I just had some attacks that happened along the way, and I lost a unit because the ship It took 2 destroyers to carry the unit and that regiment, and because one of those destroyers was sunk, the unit is lost. You can't break it down into a battalion. So here in Narvik right now I have 1 regiment of winterized division here and its headquarters. I think I might just flip that and remove the headquarters and have this then be a supported unit, but I'm not quite sure yet. It would be the exploitation phase. At this point, it's at the very end of the turn is when you would build up a unit. So I might remove this and just have it be a supported regiment. However, it did not seem a reasonable thing to attack this next hex. Once you disembark from the ships, you're not able to move any further, but I could have attacked the hex next to us, and I did further down in another circumstance that I'll talk about in a moment. But it just didn't make sense because this is Zone A, and there's a fort here as well as mountain, and this is a winterized unit. All the Norwegian units, like in the last game, all the Finnish units are winterized. So it wasn't going to be, I think, a reasonable choice to attack that next hex over. So at this point, I have 1 regiment holding Narvik, as well as a bunch of, I have some resource points here, airfield, I have some transport ships, some destroyers, large destroyers, and we're waiting for the British ships to show up. I have another oil transport here that has resources which can refuel ships outside the port. Still some submarines, and out here a large mine layer and a oiler that can refuel ships at sea. So resources are here to make sure that transports and things can get back, but as I said last video, I kind of anticipate losing all these ships and being blockaded. I do have a mine that came with that mine layer that I will deploy in writing so that he won't know exactly where it is in here, but it will be somewhere in probably the fjords of Narvik. Here at Trondheim, we were able to land with 1 regiment of this mountain division and its headquarters, but another operational failure, so it is back in a German port. But we were able to capture this airfield and unload some supply. We've got the units here. I did end up attacking this next hex over. All these guys are still out at sea, but this battleship has fired, and so it is low on ammunition, but can be resupplied by this other ship, this oiler transport. It won't have ammunition, but it will be able to sail back. In taking this next hex over, we destroyed a cavalry battalion and an infantry battalion. It was just a 0 strength infantry battalion, so it's not like we conquered a whole lot there, but we got rid of a couple forces. I just wasn't able to advance into the hex because if I move out, I can't hold this port, and I really want to keep Trondheim there, so there just wasn't much I could do there. But this unit will be moving somewhere. Wasn't able to move forward and take this because we had just landed, so there was just the landing and then the attack with those units. These coastal batteries are still suppressed, and of course I'll have some naval units here that I'll be able to try to defend the harbor a little bit. Further along here in Bergen, I was able to assault the port, arrive with combat supply and general supply for a couple of turns. I've got one, two, I think I have, yes, I have the entire division here, as well as the port, and I used these air transports to move in. We didn't end up having any losses, but we were attacked by the Allied submarines that were here, got lucky, made it, completed the assault, and these destroyers are out hunting those subs. I ended up using quite a bit of bombers. It was kind of crucial that I use those bombers to help in the anti-submarine warfare. I couldn't get enough points to really, destroy them, but they lost some, and what remained wasn't enough to continue the battle. So they dove deep, and we're still hunting them. So these destroyers are still out here. I was able to save my battleship that was there. Here at Stavanger, if I'm pronouncing that right, we were able to assault the port with the Fallschirmjägers. I took both of these hexes, this airfield as well as this port, through an airborne assault. I feel it was a good choice in that I didn't need a whole lot of extra naval forces. I gained 4 points of air. You know, there's a 3-point airfield here and 1 here. So I think it was risky, but I was able to do it, and we were able to fly in some supply and a couple of other regiments. So pretty much an additional division was able to get here through using the significant amount of transports after taking the airfields. Here at Kristiansand, this little port here, we were able to make it with, is it the full division or just 3 regiments? Yes, just the 3 regiments. The headquarters for that division was sunk, so it was lost. They'll be unsupported unless I can come up with another headquarters or some artillery to bring in. And I don't believe there's much in the way of supply, if anything. No, there's no supply right now, so if they cannot reach supply from up here in Bergen, I don't know, this would just be road, so I've got to cover the amount of hexes to get back to some supply there, or try to bring it forward. But they may be out of supply this next turn, because of course supply is dealt with at the very beginning of the turn for each phasing player. And then the biggest attack would have been against the capital here at Oslo. However, there were some significant losses with the submarine forces that are out here, and another mechanical failure. So I was going to have to land with 1 regiment, and it just wasn't feasible. I had the forces to try to suppress the coastal batteries, but there was just no way I was going to be able to attack this city. It's a major city, so everything would have been halved, including air. I had no engineers, no artillery, nothing, trying to make a naval assault on the port and then have to fight the bit of ground troops that are there as well. It just wasn't feasible to me. So I aborted that mission, and they returned to port back here. in Denmark. So right now, this is where the bulk of those forces are. So there's still lots to be done here. This is where some of the ships returned with a regiment. Don't remember which one this is. A mountain regiment, maybe? I'm not left-handed, so I'm struggling with this. There we go. Mountain regiment here. And, of course, these ground troops here. I really want to... there's some motorized infantry divisions, some machine gunners like these that are here in port and ready to go on April 2. But that might not work, might be a while, we'll see. He still has a significant amount of naval forces. He had these subs that were screening the ports. They really did a lot of damage. This screen here, as well as the subs that were out here, did a lot of damage, and I would say contributed greatly to the limitation of the German forces to arrive with significant amounts of ground troops in Norway. So I hope this wasn't too shaky. I'm trying to keep this short and sweet, so there's still the second half of the turn to go. But yeah, please stay tuned for more.